All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. As always, these are my favorite. This is my favorite day of the week, just because I get to see all of you, and we get to do some yoga together. So, for those of you who are new, I am Allison, and I will be your guide. Remember, only do what feels comfortable. Never go into pain. Anything that hurts, back out of it. I suggest just going into a balasana or a child's pose, or maybe just an easy seat and chill for a few minutes before we move on to the next pose. So thank you so much for letting me join you on your journey. And before we get started, I wanted to point out that I'll give you an option to use a strap twice today, but it's an option. You don't have to use it. And we'll also have a couple options for using a block, but again, you don't have to use it for this particular class. In the very end of class today, I have my comforter over here. If you have a blanket or a comforter that you like to use in a short shavasana, then maybe have that nearby. Anyway, we were just talking about how wonderful the snow has been, and it really has been fantastic. This is a season to remember if you are a snowboarder or a skier. If you're not, you're probably hating all the snow. But even with all the snow, and I love it, I'm an avid snowboarder, but not seeing the sun for a long time gets really depressing. So a lot of these poses are inspired today to help us bring back a little bit of that joy. And part of that is focusing on our sacral chakra, which would be, this area. So below the belly button, and by the tailbone, so our lower nether regions. It is very often connected to sex, but it also is a connection to our emotions. And so that's what we're focusing on today, is our emotions. It's the center of our emotions, that particular chakra. And if we try to open up that chakra with some of our poses and our breath work, it could help us shift our perspective, maybe balance those emotions if we're feeling out of balance. It could increase our confidence and our creativity. And the most important, helping us rediscover our passion for life. And trust me, I have a passion for life. I'm just feeling a little blue these days. So you all being here helps with that too. So we'll start with our breathing, and we're going to do a hero's pose and some Kapalabhati breathing. And I'm going to use a block. If you have a block for a hero's pose, great. If you don't feel comfortable doing hero's pose at all, you can just stay in easy seat. So I'm going to put a block under my sacral chakra, under my hips. My knees will be together and my heels come out to the side. If you don't want to use a block, you certainly can just do hero's pose straight on the mat or sitting in an easy seat. All right. So as always, keeping our lower back, the integrity of the lower back. We're not hunched over. Lying nice and tall. And the Kapalabhati breathing that's the one, and hopefully you can hear this, where you squeeze in your belly button towards your spine kind of fast, like, and when you do, you're pushing the air out audibly. So I'll give you I'm putting my hands on my belly just to give you that image. But here we are. So we're pushing that air out, and we won't go quite that quickly, but pushing that air out. And then once we release the belly, the air naturally comes back in. So what we'll do for our Kapalabhati breathing, which the purpose of it is, it's kind of a cleansing. So we're cleansing ourselves of any kind of emotional baggage that we might have come to practice with. So let's cleanse that out with this breath work, and also closing out anything that is around us that could be distracting. We'll do 3 rounds of about 7 to 11 breaths for each one. And if this is the first time doing it, it's okay if you aren't perfect at it, but we're going to give it a shot here. So I have my hands on my belly, but again, you can have your hands on your knees, or even by your side, but I have my hands on the belly just so maybe it's more visible. I'm going to try to make it more obvious. So let's go ahead and start slowly. 7 breaths for our first round. And Mark, get set, go. That was just 7 for me. You might be at a different time and that's okay. But again, just breathing out, letting your shoulders relax, keep your spine nice and tall. Let's do a second round. And this time, maybe we can work up to 11 breaths. So here we go. First, that was my 11. If you feel like, oh, I can't make it to 11, you want to stop, that's okay. Taking a breath. Does anyone feel a little lightheaded? Sometimes we do the first time we do it. Do this one more time. Again, cleansing our body, leaving any of the emotions that we came to practice with outside for right now. One last round of 11. I'll take a moment now that we've done that. Just relax. You can close your eyes or soften your gaze. Bring your breathing back to normal. Thinking about where you are, observing your emotional state. And we'll go ahead and remove our blocks from under our hips if you are using one. We'll put that to the side. I'm going to come to a nice easy seat. And for the easy seat, we're going to do a little side stretch. And for part of the side, our side stretch, I'll give you an option of using a belt. You don't have to use it. Okay, so in my easy seat, I happen to have my right leg over my left. Keep that in mind for later. And we'll go ahead and inhale, arms up. And exhale, shifting to the right, left hand to right knee, right hand behind the hip. Inhale, spine nice and tall. Top of the head reaches up toward the ceiling. And as you exhale, pull that belly button into the spine, gently twist wherever is comfortable for you. We'll do the same. Inhaling, arms back up to center. And exhale to the left, right hand to left knee, left hand behind your hip. Inhale, spine nice and tall. And exhale, squeezing your belly button to spine, gently twisting. And come back to center. Okay, so from here, we can grab our rope, our belt, our whatever towel, and gripping it, maybe shoulder distance or knee distance apart. And if you don't have one, just reaching your arms up overhead, and we're going to tilt over to the right. So if you have your belt, taking it here, pulling right arm pulls the left over toward the right. Keeping the arms, the back nice and tall. Again, if you don't have this, we're just reaching over to the side. Breathing into the stretch. And inhale back to center. And exhale over to the left. Breathing. Feel a little stretch in the rib cage maybe. Feel those arms pushing away, shoulders stretching. And exhale back to center. Okay, so from here, I'm going to switch my legs. I'm going to do a little forward fold. So now I have different leg on top, really making sure that my sits bones are connected to the mat. So making them heavy almost. We'll inhale the arms up overhead and hinging at your hips. Exhale, reaching forward. Now, wherever you land forward is great. If you have a block and you want to use the block for your forehead, you can, or even two blocks. Not to be confused with Tupac, but two blocks reaching out here. Whatever's going to work for you today, but the sits bones, the sacral chakra should be connected to the mat. That's more important than how far you can bend forward. For anyone who's interested, I do also offer or can offer some restorative yoga, which is like this kind of pace. And I do it already on Sundays, and I think I have a free code, which will actually work this time if you would like to do any restorative yoga on Sunday nights with me. So just let me know if you're interested. All right, come back up to seated position. I'm going to move my blocks to the side. And as always, from our seated position, we're going to roll into our tabletop. Let's check in with our tabletop here. Wrists are under our shoulders, knees are under the hips. Remember, if it ever hurts the knees, a thin towel or blanket or even another mat under your knees can help. All right. Whenever we're in tabletop, remember we're pushing through the fingers and we're pushing through the tops of the feet. Alleviate some pain on our joints as well. From here, we'll do some cat cows. I'm actually going to take my jacket off. I'm getting nice and warm. And the cat cows. Remember that for a cow, inhaling, dropping the chest, dropping the belly, bringing the chin up toward the ceiling if that's available to you. And exhale, pushing through, chin to chest, arcing the back, belly button to side. Inhale, carving space with the chin and the nose, opening up the chest, the heart. And exhale, coming back, pushing through the fingers to the tops of your shoulders. Keep moving here with breath and movement, waking up the spine, waking up your breath. Going at your pace, whatever's going to work for you. And we'll do one more and come back to tabletop. Okay, so from here, we're going to do some hip circles. So for our hip circles, we'll actually be in the same tabletop, but drawing a circle with our hips, if that makes sense, if you guys can see that. So I'm going to bring, just naturally breathing, my right hip around and back, and then the left hip leads on the left side and back. And just drawing some circles around in space, breathing naturally, waking up that sacral chakra. I keep saying sacral. I keep combining it. Not supposed to be that. I'm sorry. All right. And so stopping and going back the other way, slowly waking up the lower spine, waking up that sacral chakra. I'm getting better at it. Awesome. And come back to center. All right, from here, we're going to go into a balasana or child's pose. Knees the width of the mat, toes together, sending those hips back. Now, remember, if you need, you can always put a blanket or a thin towel under the knees or even under your hips. But make sure that the hips are either touching a block or your heels or a towel. They're not hanging out in the air. All right, and lowering the forehead down onto our mat. Arms are either outstretched or maybe by your side. And take a moment in our balasana, our child's pose. This is where I love to invite you to consider an intention for the class, or maybe just even our theme for today, just observe your emotional state. Where are you today emotionally? And also remember that this is a great posture to come into if whatever we're doing in class doesn't suit you. If it hurts, if it's too much, if you don't feel like it, it's a great posture to come back to. Okay, so now we can stay in our child's pose, our balasana, or we can try frog pose. Mandukasana. Mandukasana. Ooh, got it. Okay, nailed it. Okay, so frog pose. Now we're going to moving those hips out a little bit more, as wide as is comfortable, and sending our hips back, but not necessarily all the way down. So your knees are wider than we were in child's pose, and we'll come down just onto our forearms. Now, wherever you are comfortable for this posture is great. And as soon as you find that you are uncomfortable with it, feel free to come back to Vinyasa. This is a bit of a hip opener, and it can become really intense for some people really fast. If that's you, feel free to back out of it or sit with that intensity. Pressing through your fingers, pressing through your forearms, breathing into your hips as you're pressing back toward your heels, but you won't be on your heels. Again, your knees are wider, even wider than the mat. And everyone's at a different level. Wherever you feel comfortable is where you stop. We talk about this often, that emotions we hold in this tensity, is that a word, in our hips. And so releasing our hips can help us to release some of those emotions. All right, take a nice deep breath in and exhale, slowly and intentionally coming out of frog pose or your balasana, wherever you're at, and just come back to our tabletop. All right, today we're just going to do one sun salutation, but do it a little slowly. We're really focusing on the down dog and the up dog. Down dog helps to relax the nervous system, and up dog, well, whenever you lift your heart up, it helps to lift your mood. So let's start with a down dog. Curl your toes and send your hips back. And it's our first down dog, so take a minute to walk it out if you want to. Maybe even drop some hips, or just pushing back through the fingers to the upper back. And let's go ahead and tippy toe slowly coming up to the top of the mat. We're in our forward fold. Before we get to our sun salutation, why don't you, if it's available to you, give yourself a hug. Hugging yourself behind wherever that feels comfortable. Maybe you're hugging two hands on your backs of your legs. Maybe you're at your calf. Maybe you have both arms wrapped around you. Wherever you feel comfortable right here, just give yourself a little hug. And let's go ahead and roll up vertebrae by vertebrae into our mountain pose or our standing posture. All right, I know the top of my head is getting cut off there, and I'm sorry, but let's do a slow sun salutation, get us warmed up. Pressing our feet into the mat, beyond the mat, and then reaching fingers opposite direction up toward the ceiling. Inhale and exhale, hinging at the hips, diving down, forward fold. Micro bend in those knees. Remember, wherever you're at, shins, a block, that's great. Inhale, halfway lift, back is strong, neck is long. Exhale, forward fold. Stay here for just a moment and breathe a little. Let all the stress from the week to the weekend or from just today rip off your back. Now plant your hands and step or hop back into a quick down dog. Exhale, making a wave into a plank, holding here for just a moment. And you can always do supported plank. Okay, so we have supported plank. Breathing, and then push back to down dog. We're going to do this 3 times. 3 more times, I should say. From down dog, your back becomes a wave like the ocean coming into plank. Pulling the belly button in, back is strong, sending energy out the leg. And press back to down dog. 2 more times. That becomes a wave. Come into plank or supported plank. Holding that belly button into the spine. And exhale, pushing back. down dog. One last time, back becomes a wave. Holding our plank here, really breathing into it, and exhale, slowly lower down. From here, flip our feet and inhale into a little back bend here. And exhale, slowly lower down. Press through, back to down dog. Look between your hands and step or hop between your hands. Woo, and then drop your earpiece. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to come all the way up, pressing into the mat, fingers to the opposite direction, and exhale, hands back up. I know we usually go a little faster. Hopefully you can still hear me. I lost my earpiece. That's what happens. How I roll, guys. All right, so let's get into our flow for today. For the flow, I'm going to start in the center of my mat. My toes are going to point opposite directions, so they're going out this way. Feet are a little bit wider than my hips, reaching my arms out into a star pose, and then I'm going to come into a goddess pose. But stay here in this kind of star pose for a moment, really pushing the feet into the mat, fingers opposite direction. Opening that chest, lifting that heart to lift your mood. Feel this power. It's like a powerful stance, right? Inhale here and exhale. Almost coming into a squat, knees opposite directions, arms coming down into cat. Tuck your knees over your feet. Your knees should not be coming in. They should be over the ankle, but not over the toes. Arms are pulled back, chest is open. Breathing. Excellent. We're going to move into a warrior two in just a moment. 2 more breaths here. Really feeling the inner thigh working. It doesn't have to hurt. It doesn't have to be a stretch, but just feel it working. Maybe even go a little deeper. And let's shift our weight. I'm going to shift to the back of the mat first. I'm going to go right leg first, forward, back of the mat. Right leg bends, left leg is straight into a warrior two. Probably do that a lot smoother than I just did. Remember that the back toes are facing toward the long edge of the mat. Front toes, the right toes, are facing the short end. Arms are reaching out either direction and keep pulling back. Warrior two. Now from here, let's tip ourselves backwards. Left hand goes to the left leg or left hip, reaching that right arm over into a reverse or peaceful warrior. Opening that chest, opening that heart. Excellent. Now we're going to shift our weight onto our front leg. And when we do, I'm going to bring my left leg up, bending. See if we can bring it all the way up. If you need to hold onto a wall, you can. Left ankle onto the right knee. Now you can stay right here in this figure four, or bring your hands to heart, or even hold onto the wall or a chair and sit back into a one-legged chair pose. So your chest should be open, your back is working. We're sitting, you might feel a lot of activity in this hip. And woo, I almost fell out. Okay, breathing, take 2 more breaths wherever you are at. And slowly release, standing up, releasing that left leg. And stepping back into triangle pose. So as a reminder, triangle pose, my left legs, my left toes Left toes are by the long end. My right toes are going to the front, and I'm making a triangle with my legs, whatever length feels comfortable to you. Reach my arms out, bending to the either side, and we're going to do a revolved triangle. So left hand comes down to the mat or to a block. Left hand comes down by the right leg, right fingertips up toward the ceiling. Pulling that belly button in, you're twisting at the core, not at your arm. Now, if that's too much for you, just a regular Trikonasana is excellent for right now. Either one will suffice. Keep breathing. And let's come out of this. We're going to shift. I'm going to send my hips back toward my left hip here and reach. Actually, we'll come back into a lunge. I'm so sorry. We'll come back into a nice lunge here. Knee down, left knee down, and reaching that right leg out. So if that makes sense. So right leg is nice and straight. If we want to use blocks on either side, getting a little half split here. From this posture, moving up, I'm going to come into a malasana. Shifting my weight, coming into a little squat. Now, you're always welcome to put a block under your hips for your malasana, but toes are out to the sides, knees are out to the sides. Elbows come into the knees, knees press into the elbows, hands are in prayer pose. If you need to, you could also elbows into the knees, pressing onto the mat here. Using that block if you need that block. When we go through this again later, and if you were feeling it, we can do crow on our next pass through, or just stick with our malasana. All right, so from here, we're gonna stand up, keeping our legs kind of where they are. We're gonna go back into a nice goddess, but I'm gonna push up into a star pose first. So from here, pressing out, coming up at your own leisure into a nice star pose, pushing the fingertips up. If you can see me, I'm really doing it, I promise. Pushing into our feet, pushing our fingertips up toward the ceiling. Inhale and exhale, coming into our goddess. So guys, even if this is called goddess pose, remember, find your inner goddess. We all have male and female energies, masculine and feminine. So find your inner goddess. Check your knees, that our knees are not collapsing. We're being protective of our knees. Keep breathing here. If you want to go lower, you could go lower, challenge yourself. And one more inhale and exhale, shifting my weight now with my left toes going to the front and into a warrior two with my left leg forward. You might have to move your feet a little bit, scoot them around. Check that your alignment with your feet, your alignment with your knee over the ankle, strong back leg, strong jaw. Imagine that your tailbone is bending out, maybe a laser toward the ground. So you're just sending this energy that's out toward your mat. Take one more good breath here. Inhale and exhale. Right arm to the right leg, left arm reaches up overhead. Reverse peaceful warrior. Keeping that chest open, keeping the integrity of your back. And we'll do the same on this side, where we're going to send all of our weight onto our left foot, bringing that right leg up, bending the right leg, bringing that up as far as we can, and then placing right ankle to left knee. Try to move to the side so it's more visible. You can stay in this figure 4 right here, holding onto a chair or a wall. Or if you'd like, hands apart and sitting back into a one-legged. My left leg is a little wonky, still getting used to being used, even though it's been a year and a half since my surgery. Chest is open, back is strong. 2 more deep breaths. And release, coming up, stepping back into triangle. Okay, so same thing here. Our arms are out, but I'm going to switch my arms to the side here, and you can either stay in your traditional triangle, even using a block, or join me in revolved triangle. Right arm to the mat or to a block, left fingers toward the ceiling, pulling that belly button in, activating the core. And releasing our twist, stepping back into a low lunge and bringing that left foot forward. You can sit all the way down for this. You can use your block, stretching the left leg out nice and strong. Left toes are active and pointing up toward the ceiling. Excellent. We're going to move out of this and we'll move into a malasana again. But you have the option to do whatever you want. But I'm going to move over to my malasana. But you also, I encourage the option of crow. So crow could be, if that's in your practice, placing your hands in front, knees in your armpits, chins on your arms, and maybe you're even just only bringing up 1 foot or 2, or maybe you're staying in malasana. Either one is excellent, but I'm going to give you a little extra time to work on your crow if crow is in your practice today. And again, if you wanted to try crow, maybe we're just getting here. We're just getting to that feeling of where crow is. Maybe just on the basic pose. All right, wherever you are at, I don't want to force you to finish your crow too quickly. Find your last posture with crow or your last posture in the malasana. Maybe if you're in malasana, maybe pressing your knees into your elbows and elbows into knees just a little bit more. Take a nice deep breath, and wherever you're at, we can release. Okay. So from here, our legs are already wide, but I'm going to make them a little bit wider. And you notice that my upper body hasn't moved. I'm going to do a nice wide-legged fold. So I'll move to the side so it's not quite as awkward. Feel free to grab a block if you want to use a block here, or if your forward fold with your knees bent is right here, that's great. Maybe you're all the way down on the mat. Whatever is feeling good for you. What we're going to do, take a few minutes, few breaths, not minutes, few breaths here, releasing our lower back, releasing our neck, allowing the head to just roll back and forth. And do another check-in with your emotions. Where are you right now? Breathing into our fold here. Now, you can also, and I'll bring this up, we'll do this one more time. If it's in your practice, you can bring a block just under your head as well. Allow that to all there, but only if that is in your practice. All right, so from here, we're actually going to move into a nice pigeon pose. And you can shift your weight. We're going to shift our weight to the right first. Sorry. And you can either step into a down dog and then bring your right shin forward, or from this pose here, you can just merely bring that right shin down and the hip comes down to the earth, whichever one's going to work for you. Do you have, if you need it, a block to help support your hip so that your hip, you don't collapse into the right hip? Try to get the front shins as close to parallel to the front as you can. And if you would like, opening up that chest, breathing into your pigeon here. If you would like, feel free to fold over into a nice sleeping pigeon. But wherever you're at is great. Now, if this is too much pressure, you can always bend your left leg. Just try to keep from collapsing into your right hip. I feel like my mirror here might be in the wrong place. I'm just staring at myself. Hello, how are you? But it's also really good because I can see my posture here too. I can see whether or not I'm folding funny or if my hips are collapsing. The mirrors can be really helpful here. Okay, let's go ahead and take one more breath. Deep breath in. Inhale and exhale, releasing. If you had a block under your hips, move your block, and we can release and come back into the center here. We can do a little butterfly here just to break it out. So butterfly, the bottoms of our feet coming together, can grab your toes, holding onto them, opening up that chest, lowering the shoulders away from the ears. And for a true butterfly, you would actually flap your legs. So if you want to just keep it at a cobbler's pose, you're welcome to do so. Now, everyone's feet will be different. Maybe they're here, your knees are up. No judgment. It's wherever you happen to be. Okay. So once we feel like we've released a little tension, we're going to roll back up. Place my feet, wide-legged stance, and do another forward fold here. So however you're going to fold, on a block, even on a chair, if you've got a chair, whatever's going to work for you today. So do another forward fold, but this time, maybe add a little bit of movement, left to right, slowly and intentionally moving from one side to the next. And now we'll move to the left foot. So again, you can step back to down dog, come into, or just from your posture here, sitting into an Ekapada Konasana, pigeon pose with our left leg forward. Again, if you want to use a block or a comforter or a blanket under your hip, do that. Try to get your left shin to be as parallel as your body will allow it. Keeping that chest nice and open. Your right leg is active, whether it's bent or it's straight. And if you'd like to do a sleeping pigeon and fold over, you're welcome to do that here. Breathing into our posture. Maybe make sure that your left foot is working too. Don't let your feet be lazy. All right. Take one more really nice inhale here, inhaling deep as you can. And exhale, releasing our legs. Bring your right foot around left. We're going to roll back into our backs. Okay, so now we're on the supine portion of our evening. Bring your legs into your chest and give your legs a hug this way. And if you feel like rocking back and forth, you can. And then if it sounds good to you, let's do a little happy baby. So grab your feet, and if you just want to stay hugging your shins in the wind relieving pose, you're welcome to. Otherwise, grab your feet, pull on your feet, push on your hands, knees toward your armpits. Try to get a little width in your legs, and if you would like to roll back and forth and see if you can pop your back as many times as mine popped, challenge accepted. I mean, happy baby, how can you not be happy when you're doing happy baby, right? Oh, okay. So from here, we're going to do a little spinal twist action, and you can do this with or without a belt. So I'm going to place my left leg down, right leg, I'm going to stretch out. Whether or not you have a belt is up to you. I just like this because it's a little bit different, and we're going to do a little spinal twist 2 ways. I'm going to reach my left leg out, and with this or not, I'm going to take my left hand into my belt if I have it, and just let my right leg fall to the left. And if you want to put a block under your foot or even under your knee, that's wonderful. Reach your right hand out the opposite direction. Gaze on your right hand. Make sure you're keeping your right foot active and your left hand active if you're holding the belt. Okay, so now we're going to switch, but not switch feet. We're going to switch sides. So bringing my belt and my foot, or just my foot, nice, strong right leg. Now I'm going to let it fall to the right. Okay, so here, even if you didn't have the belt, you can just let it fall. You could have a block under your knee or under your foot. And now I just have my right hand with the belt, if you're using that, opening up my leg. Now, your leg may not reach the ground. Mine certainly does not. But the belt will help you to open up your hip just a little bit more. Breathe into this. All right, and now we'll bring it back to center, and right leg stretches out, left leg will go straight. Okay, so left leg, if you're using the belt, left leg is in the belt, right hand holds it. I'm going to let my left leg fall over to the right. Left hand reaches over to the left, eyes gaze on the left hand. And slowly we'll bring that left leg back to center. If you're using the belt, grab the belt with the left hand and let the left leg fall to the left. Again, if you have a block nearby or even a bolster that you'd like to use, you're welcome to do that. Keep your left foot active. It just means like it's awake. It's not just hanging out. All right, take one more breath and bring that left foot in, release it, and we'll do a little reclined cobbler's pose here. So your feet are together just like our butterfly pose. Let the knees fall to the side. And again, if you'd like, you can always use a block under your knees to support your knees if that feels better. You need to wiggle out a little bit. Relax those hips. Maybe place your hands on your belly. Just feel your breath, inhaling and exhaling. If you'd like to stay in your bound angle or cobbler's pose here, you're welcome to. But I invite you to maybe reach your legs out, your arms to the side, or a short shavasana. And this would be the point where if you would like to use a blanket over your body, or maybe a comforter under your body, we can take a second to get ourselves sorted for a short shavasana. And as always, if you want to stay in shavasana when we close class, you're absolutely welcome to do that. Don't feel like you have to close class out with me. But if you're joining me in shavasana, maybe shake your legs out a little bit. Let your feet become heavy. Your hands become heavy. Maybe you'll close your eyes, just soften your gaze. Observing your breath. Feel your head sink into the mat. Feel your hips pressing into the mat. Observing your breath. As you breathe, I'll read to you some affirmations for your sacral chakra. Feel free to repeat them to yourself or just ignore them. My intuitive senses are awakened. I am a lovable being. I let go of what no longer serves me. I choose to feel joy and happiness. If you'd like to stay in Shavasana, please do. But if you're ready to come out and go about your evening, please start wiggling your fingers and toes, blinking your eyes open. Take a nice deep breath and then deep exhale. Maybe you reach your arms overhead and reach your toes away. And roll to one side or the other, whichever one you feel like today. And on your own time, when you're ready, join me in the seated position. And I'm so thankful I got to join you today. I hope that we can get our winter blues taken care of so we can go out and enjoy the rest of our winter. And I can't wait to see you next week. Thank you. Namaste.